The calm before the storm. Captain Lila Grant stood on the bridge of the Hercules, her eyes fixed on the swirling clouds of Jupiter through the viewport. The massive supercarrier, measuring over 20 kilometers in length, was humanity's latest marvel, a blend of advanced technology and sheer brute force. It was a vessel designed not just for war but for survival against a galaxy that had proven hostile. "Status report," Lila commanded, her voice steady despite the tension that crackled in the air. "All systems are operational, Captain," replied Lieutenant Marco Reyes, his fingers dancing over his console. "We're ready for launch at your command." Lila nodded, feeling a mix of pride and apprehension. The crew had trained tirelessly for this moment, hidden away in Jupiter's shadow for months, preparing to face an enemy that underestimated them. They had received intelligence about an approaching alien fleet, the Drachnids, who believed Earth was ripe for conquest. "Prepare to initiate launch protocols," she ordered. "And keep an eye on our sensors. We need to know when they enter our range." As her crew moved swiftly to their tasks, Lila took a moment to reflect on how far humanity had come since first contact with extraterrestrial life 5 years ago. The initial excitement had quickly turned into fear as they learned about the Drachnids, a race with technology far beyond their own. But rather than succumb to despair, humanity had rallied together, pooling resources and knowledge to create something extraordinary. In a secluded corner of the ship, Chief Engineer Samir Patel was finalizing preparations in the engine room. He marveled at the intricate systems that powered the Hercules. The ship was equipped with fusion reactors capable of generating immense energy and kinetic weapons designed to breach even the toughest alien shields. "Everything looks good down here," Samir said into his communicator. "We're ready to unleash hell when you give the word." Back on the bridge, Lila's thoughts were interrupted by Ensign Mia Chen's voice. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command." "Put it on screen," Lila replied, straightening her posture. The image of Admiral Thompson appeared before them, his expression grave. "Captain Grant, we have confirmed reports that the Drachnid fleet is en route to Earth. Their ships are massive, over 100 vessels strong, and they are demanding our surrender." Lila felt a chill run down her spine at the mention of surrender. The Drachnids had made it clear that they viewed humanity as inferior beings unworthy of existence. "What are their demands?" she asked. "They want us to lay down our arms and submit to their rule," Thompson replied sharply. "They believe our technology is primitive compared to theirs." Lila exchanged glances with her crew. They all knew what this meant. The Drachnids were underestimating them, which could work to their advantage. "Admiral, we cannot allow them to think they can intimidate us," Lila stated firmly. "We've spent years preparing for this moment." Thompson nodded slowly. "I trust your judgment, Captain. But remember, this is not just about our survival, it's about sending a message to any other species that might consider invading Earth." With that thought resonating in her mind, Lila turned back to her crew. "Prepare for battle stations. We will show them what humanity is truly capable of." As alarms blared throughout the ship, signaling readiness for combat, Lila felt a surge of adrenaline course through her veins. This was it, the moment they had trained for. In another part of the ship, Lieutenant Marco Reyes focused intently on his console as he monitored incoming data from their long-range sensors. Suddenly, he exclaimed, "Captain! I'm detecting multiple energy signatures approaching from deep space. It looks like they're almost here." Lila's heart raced as she turned back toward him. "How long until they reach our position?" "At their current speed?" "Approximately 30 minutes, Marco replied. "Good," Lila said decisively. "Let's make sure everything is ready by then." As preparations continued aboard Hercules, outside in space, Commander Zorak of the Drachnid fleet surveyed his armada with pride. His ships glimmered under distant stars like predators stalking prey. "The humans believe they can hide behind their primitive technology," Zorak sneered as he addressed his officers aboard his flagship, Drachnus Prime. They will soon learn that their efforts are futile. His second-in-command, General Vraxis, nodded in agreement. Our sensors indicate that they are still hiding within Jupiter's atmosphere. How pathetic. Zorak chuckled darkly at this thought before continuing with his plans for conquest. Prepare our ships for engagement, we will crush them before they even have a chance to respond. Back on Hercules, Lila received word from her tactical officer about Zorak's fleet rapidly approaching Earth. They're coming in hot. Marco shouted from his station as alarms began blaring across the bridge once more. All hands. Battle stations. Lila commanded once again as she took her place at the helm. As her crew scrambled into action around her, pilots rushing to their fighters and gunners taking positions at their weapons, Lila felt an overwhelming sense of determination wash over her. Today would not be just another day, today would mark humanity's stand against those who sought to conquer them. With every second ticking away towards confrontation with an enemy who underestimated them at every turn, Captain Lila Grant prepared not only for battle but also for victory against all odds. The Alien Ultimatum. Commander Zorak stood on the bridge of the Drachnus Prime, his imposing figure silhouetted against the vastness of space. The alien flagship, a sleek vessel adorned with glimmering energy fields, was the pride of the Drachnid fleet. Zorak's multiple eye ridges narrowed as he surveyed the tactical display, which showed the position of Earth and its meager defenses. Send the message again, Zorak commanded, his voice resonating with authority. Let them know their time is running out. The communications officer, a slender creature with iridescent skin, nodded and activated the transmission. The screen flickered to life, revealing Zorak's visage to the humans on Earth. Primitive humans, he began, his tone dripping with condescension. This is your final warning. The Drachnid Collective rules over 300 star systems. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. Your pitiful chemical rockets and basic ion engines are nothing compared to our quantum drive ships. Surrender now, and we will be merciful. Resist, and we will turn your cities to glass. Zorak allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as he watched the transmission reach its destination. He knew that fear was a powerful weapon, one that had served his people well in their conquests across the galaxy. Admiral, one of his officers interrupted, the human response is imminent. Zorak turned his attention back to the tactical display. Let them respond, he sneered. Their bravado will only make their defeat sweeter. As the seconds ticked away, Zorak's confidence grew. The Drachnids had faced countless civilizations, each one crumbling before their might. The humans were no different, they were merely a blip on the cosmic radar, an insignificant species that thought they could stand against a force like his. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral James Walker was preparing for the worst. He had watched Zorak's transmission with a mix of anger and determination. The arrogance of the Drachnids was palpable, but it also provided an opportunity to strike back with unexpected ferocity. Prepare our response, Walker instructed his communications officer, Tom Reed. Let them know we will not bow to their threats. Reed quickly typed up a concise message that conveyed humanity's resolve: we refuse to surrender to your tyranny. Prepare for battle. As Walker sent the message into the void of space, he felt a surge of pride for his crew and their unwavering spirit. They had trained for this moment for years, hidden away in Neptune's atmosphere while developing strategies that would catch their enemies off guard. Admiral, Reed reported after sending the message, the Drachnid fleet is still maintaining formation and moving toward Earth. Good, Walker replied with a steely gaze. They think they have us figured out. Let them come. Back on Drachnus Prime, Zorak received word of humanity's defiance. His expression twisted into a snarl as he listened to Reed's message echo through the ship's communication systems. They dare to defy us? Zorak bellowed, slamming his fist onto the console in front of him. Prepare for engagement. We will show them what happens when they challenge the might of the Drachnid Collective. The crew sprang into action as Zorak's fury ignited their own enthusiasm for battle. They adjusted their weapon systems and readied their ships for combat. "Commander," one officer reported nervously, "the human fleet appears to be smaller than anticipated." Zorak waved dismissively at him. "Size does not matter when you possess superior technology. Their primitive vessels will be no match for our energy shields and weaponry." As they approached Earth's orbit, Zorak felt an unsettling excitement course through him. This would be another glorious victory added to his already impressive record. Meanwhile, back on Hercules, Captain Lila Grant was monitoring her crew's preparations for battle. She could sense the tension in the air as her team moved with purpose and precision. "All hands are ready, Captain," Marco Reyes confirmed from his station. Lila nodded appreciatively at her crew's efforts but remained focused on their mission ahead. She knew that every second counted as they awaited the Drachnid's approach. Suddenly, an alert blared across the bridge, a warning signal indicating incoming transmissions from Drachnid Prime. "Put it on screen," Lila ordered. The image flickered to life once more, displaying Zorak's imposing figure as he delivered another ultimatum. "Humans," he exclaimed with disdain. "You have made your choice, and now you will face the consequences. Prepare yourselves for annihilation." Lila felt her heart race at Zorak's words but remained resolute in her conviction. She turned to her crew with fierce determination. "We will not let fear dictate our actions," she declared passionately. "Today we show them what humanity is capable of. Prepare for battle." As Lila rallied her crew around her unyielding spirit, she felt a sense of unity among them, a shared purpose that transcended individual fears. Back aboard Drachnid Prime, Zorak was oblivious to Lila's resolve as he continued issuing orders for engagement. "Launch all fighters," he commanded fiercely. "We will crush them beneath our boots." With that command echoing through his flagship, hundreds of Drachnid fighters launched into space like a swarm of angry hornets, eager to engage in combat against what they perceived as weak prey. But unbeknownst to Zorak and his fleet, humanity had been preparing for this moment in secrecy, harnessing technology that would soon turn the tables in ways no one could have anticipated. As both fleets moved closer toward each other in space, the Drachnids confident in their superiority while humanity stood ready to defy expectations, the stage was set for an epic clash that would determine not just survival but also dignity against an arrogant foe. In this game of cosmic chess where every move mattered, Commander Zorak would soon learn that underestimating humanity could lead to consequences far beyond mere defeat. It could lead to an awakening, a realization that perhaps this primitive species had more surprises than anyone could imagine. The hidden power. Chief Engineer Samir Patel stood in the heart of the Hercules, surrounded by the hum of machinery and the rhythmic pulse of energy coursing through the ship's systems. The massive supercarrier was a testament to human ingenuity, a fortress designed not just for defense but for a decisive counterattack against the Drachnid fleet. As he surveyed the engineering bay, a sense of pride welled up within him. They had spent years developing technology that would soon be unveiled to an unsuspecting enemy. "Status report," Samir called out, his voice echoing against the metal walls. "All systems are green, Chief," shouted Assistant Engineer Nora Ali, her eyes glued to her console. "Fusion reactors are stable, and weapon systems are fully charged." "Good," Samir replied, nodding approvingly. "Let's run one final diagnostic on the kinetic weapons. We need to ensure they're ready for maximum output." As his team began the diagnostic checks, Samir couldn't help but reflect on how far humanity had come since first contact with the Drachnids. Initially, they had been terrified of their advanced technology, but instead of succumbing to fear, they had chosen to adapt and innovate. While other nations scrambled to replicate alien tech, Earth had taken a different path, one of strategic development and deception. The Hercules was equipped with kinetic weapons designed to exploit a critical weakness in Drachnid shields. Samir had led the team that developed these weapons, which utilized high-velocity projectiles capable of bypassing energy shields that were meant to deflect energy-based attacks. The Drachnids believed they were facing primitive technology. Little did they know that humanity had engineered a weapon that could turn their arrogance against them. "Chief," Nora interrupted his thoughts, "the diagnostics are complete. All kinetic weapons are operational and ready for launch." "Excellent work," Samir said, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "Let's prepare for launch sequences. We need to be ready to engage at a moment's notice." As his team moved efficiently through their tasks, Samir felt the weight of responsibility resting heavily on his shoulders. He understood that this battle was not just about defeating an enemy, it was about proving humanity's resilience and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, on the bridge of Hercules, Captain Lila Grant was coordinating with her tactical officer, Lieutenant Marco Reyes. They were monitoring the movements of the Drachnid fleet as it continued its advance toward Earth. "The Drachnids are maintaining their formation," Marco reported, his fingers dancing over his console. "They're confident, they think we're still hiding behind our orbital defenses." Lila smiled grimly at this revelation. "Let them think that. It will only make their defeat more satisfying." As they continued to observe the enemy fleet's approach, Lila felt a sense of unity among her crew, a shared determination to protect their home planet from invasion. Back in engineering, Samir had gathered his team for a quick briefing before battle. "Listen up," he began, commanding attention from his engineers. "Today we show the Drachnids that humanity is not to be underestimated. Our kinetic weapons are our trump card. They think we're using outdated technology while we've developed something far more effective." He paused for effect, letting his words sink in before continuing. "We've trained for this moment for years. When we unleash our firepower, I want every shot to count. Remember your training, stay focused and trust your instincts." The engineers nodded in agreement, their expressions reflecting determination and resolve. As preparations continued aboard Hercules, Lila received an urgent update from her sensors officer. "Captain, the Drachnid fleet is entering engagement range," Marco announced. "All hands. Battle stations." Lila commanded once again as alarms blared throughout the ship. In engineering, Samir felt the adrenaline surge through him as he prepared for combat. "Activate all kinetic weapon systems," he ordered. "Prepare to fire on my mark." With every passing second, anticipation built within the crew as they awaited their moment to strike back against their oppressors. Meanwhile, Commander Zorak watched from Drachnus Prime as his fleet approached Earth's orbit with confidence. He believed victory was assured. After all, how could such a primitive species possibly pose a threat? "Prepare our energy weapons," Zorak commanded his officers with an air of superiority. "We will demonstrate our power and bring these humans to their knees." His officers complied without hesitation, their belief in Zorak's vision fueled their eagerness for battle. As Zorak continued issuing orders, he failed to notice the subtle shifts occurring within Hercules. The humans were preparing something extraordinary, something that would soon shatter his misconceptions about their capabilities. Back on Hercules, Lila felt her heart race as she stood poised at her command chair. "All systems ready," Marco confirmed as tension filled the air around them. "Initiate launch sequence," Lila commanded decisively. In engineering, Samir counted down in his mind as he prepared for their first strike against the enemy fleet. 3, 2, 1, fire. The Hercules unleashed its kinetic weapons with precision and power unlike anything seen before. Massive projectiles hurtled through space toward the unsuspecting Drachnid ships, each one carrying humanity's hope for survival and vengeance against those who sought to conquer them. As explosions erupted across the Drachnid fleet and chaos ensued among their ranks, Zorak's confidence began to waver as he realized that perhaps humanity was not as weak as he had believed. "What is happening?" Zorak shouted in disbelief as his flagship shook under fire from unexpected sources. The tide was turning, humanity was no longer hiding behind illusions, they were fighting back with everything they had. Back aboard Hercules, cheers erupted among Lila's crew as they witnessed their plan unfold successfully before them, a testament to human resilience and ingenuity against an arrogant foe who thought they could easily claim victory. Samir stood at his station watching as projectiles tore through Drachnid shields like paper, each impact resonating with triumph and hope for humanity's future. "This is just the beginning," he whispered under his breath with fierce determination burning in his chest. The battle was far from over, it had only just begun, but today marked a turning point, a moment when humanity would rise up against its oppressors and show them what true strength looked like. The perfect trap. Lieutenant Jenna Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Vanguard, her heart racing as she monitored the tactical display. The Drachnid fleet had taken the bait, pursuing Commander Martinez's small fleet with reckless abandon. Jenna had been tasked with leading a squadron of fighters, and she knew that the success of their mission hinged on timing and precision. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Commander Martinez's fleet is drawing the Drachnids into position," replied Ensign Leo Chen, his fingers flying over the control panel. "They're completely focused on them and haven't detected our movements." Jenna felt a surge of confidence at this news. The plan was working perfectly, the Drachnids were underestimating humanity yet again. For 3 years, they had trained in secrecy, honing their skills and developing strategies that would turn the tide of battle. "Prepare for launch," Jenna ordered, her eyes fixed on the screen displaying the Drachnid ships. "We'll need to be ready to strike as soon as we get the signal from Admiral Walker." As her squadron prepared for action, Jenna reflected on how far they had come since first contact with the Drachnids. Initially, humanity had been terrified of their advanced technology, but instead of succumbing to fear, they had chosen to adapt and innovate. The Vanguard was equipped with advanced weaponry that would catch the Drachnids off guard. "Fighter squadrons are ready for launch," Ensign Leo reported. "We have a full complement of 50 fighters prepped and waiting for your command." "Good," Jenna replied, her determination hardening. "Once we receive the signal from Commander Martinez, we'll launch our attack." Meanwhile, far away in the depths of space aboard Drachnus Prime, Commander Zorak was growing increasingly impatient. The humans had proven to be more resilient than he anticipated, but he believed victory was still within his grasp. "Commander," one of his officers said nervously, "the human ships are retreating toward Earth. They seem to be fleeing." Zorak's eyes narrowed in disdain. "Fleeing? They are merely delaying their inevitable defeat. Prepare our ships for pursuit. We will crush them." As Zorak barked orders, he failed to notice that his fleet was moving into a carefully laid trap designed by humanity's finest minds. Back on the Vanguard, Jenna received a transmission from Admiral Walker. "All hands. Prepare for Phase 2. Walker's voice boomed through the comms. "The Prometheus is rising. Launch all fighter squadrons. Launch sequence initiated." Jenna shouted as she activated her controls. The massive hangar doors opened, revealing the stars beyond and the glowing ships of the Drachnid fleet in the distance. "Green Squadron, you're up first," she commanded as her heart raced with anticipation. The roar of engines filled the air as her squadron launched into space, joining their comrades in a coordinated assault against the unsuspecting Drachnids. As they soared into formation, Jenna felt a rush of exhilaration, they were finally taking the fight to their enemy. "Stay tight and watch your six," she instructed over comms as they approached their target area. The Drachnid ships were still focused on Commander Martinez's fleet, their energy weapons charged and ready to fire. Jenna could see them laughing at what they perceived as humanity's weakness, a mistake that would soon cost them dearly. "Engage at will," Jenna shouted as they closed in on their targets. The fighters dove toward the Drachnid vessels with precision and speed, launching volleys of kinetic projectiles that struck true against their shields. The aliens were caught off guard, they had expected only a few small ships to engage them, not an entire squadron of determined fighters. Explosions erupted across the Drachnid fleet as Jenna's squadron unleashed chaos upon their ranks. The aliens scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Humanity was no longer hiding behind illusions, they were fighting back with everything they had. "Keep it up. We're breaking through their defenses." Jenna encouraged her squadron as they pressed forward into battle. Meanwhile, back on Prometheus, Admiral Walker monitored the unfolding chaos from his command chair. He could see how well his plan was working. The Drachnids were disoriented and struggling to regroup. "Excellent work, Lieutenant Kim," he praised over comms. "Your squadron is making significant progress." Jenna felt a swell of pride at Walker's words but remained focused on her mission. She knew that victory was still far from guaranteed. They needed to maintain pressure on the enemy while ensuring their own survival. As more fighter squadrons joined the fray, it became clear that humanity's hidden strength lay not just in technology but in their unwavering spirit and determination to protect their home planet. Back among the chaos of battle, Zorak watched in disbelief as his fleet struggled against an enemy he had deemed inferior. He could feel anger bubbling within him. These humans were proving to be more resourceful than he had anticipated. "Reinforce our flanks," Zorak commanded furiously. "We cannot allow them to gain any more ground." But as he issued orders, it became increasingly evident that humanity had turned his arrogance against him. What started as a simple hunt was now morphing into a brutal confrontation where every miscalculation could lead to disaster. Just then, another transmission came through from Commander Martinez's ship. "Admiral Walker. We've successfully drawn them into position. The Prometheus is ready for Phase 3. Walker's heart raced at this news. It was time for humanity's hidden giant to reveal itself fully. "All hands. Prepare for Phase 3, he commanded with authority. "Let's show these aliens what we're truly capable of." As Jenna continued her assault alongside her squadron, she felt a surge of hope knowing that victory was within reach. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their future against an enemy who underestimated them at every turn. With every explosion lighting up space around them and every enemy ship falling under their relentless assault, humanity stood united against those who sought to conquer them, a testament to resilience in times of adversity. The stage was set for an epic confrontation where cunning strategy met raw determination, a battle that would determine not just survival but also dignity against an arrogant foe who believed victory was assured. The unleashing of fury. Admiral James Walker stood resolutely on the bridge of the Prometheus, his eyes fixed on the tactical display as it illuminated the chaotic scene unfolding in space. The Drachnid fleet, still caught in the trap set by Commander Martinez's small fleet, was completely unaware of the impending storm that was about to be unleashed upon them. The time for humanity's hidden giant to reveal itself had finally arrived. "Prepare for launch of all fighter squadrons," Walker commanded, his voice steady and authoritative. "We've trained for this moment, let's show them what we're capable of." The bridge crew sprang into action, their movements precise and efficient. Lieutenant Emma Stone, leading Green Squadron, felt her heart race with anticipation as she prepared her fighter for launch. She had trained tirelessly for this day, and now it was time to put everything they had learned into practice. "Green Squadron, report readiness," Emma called out over the comms. "Green Squadron ready," came the chorus of voices in response. As the massive hangar doors of the Prometheus opened, revealing the vastness of space beyond, Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. In the distance, she could see the Drachnid ships moving in formation, their sleek designs glowing ominously against the backdrop of stars. They believed they were invincible, an assumption that would soon be shattered. "Launch sequence initiated," Walker announced from his command chair. "All fighters deploy." The Prometheus unleashed its full might as fighter squadrons poured out into space like a swarm of hornets. Each pilot was determined to prove that humanity was not to be underestimated. As they formed up in tight formations, Emma took a moment to glance at her squadron, each pilot was focused and ready for battle. "Stay sharp, everyone," she reminded her team. "We're going to hit them hard and fast." As they accelerated toward the Drachnid fleet, Emma could see the chaos that had erupted among their ranks. Commander Martinez's small fleet had successfully drawn the aliens into a vulnerable position, and now it was time for humanity to strike back with overwhelming force. Back on the bridge of Drachnus Prime, Commander Zorak watched in disbelief as his fleet struggled to maintain order amidst the unexpected human resistance. The arrogance he had felt moments ago was quickly dissipating as he realized that these humans were far more cunning than he had anticipated. "Reinforce our flanks," Zorak commanded angrily. "We cannot allow them to gain any more ground." But it was too late. Humanity's hidden strength was already being unleashed upon them. As Emma and her squadron dove into the fray, they engaged enemy fighters with fierce determination. The airspace around them erupted into chaos as laser beams and kinetic projectiles filled the void. Each pilot executed maneuvers they had practiced countless times, weaving through enemy fire while launching their own attacks. "Target acquired," Emma shouted as she locked onto a Drachnid fighter. With a squeeze of her trigger, she unleashed a volley of missiles that streaked through space like shooting stars, striking true against her target. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris scattering across the battlefield. "Nice shot, Green Leader," one of her squadron members cheered over the comms. Emma felt a rush of exhilaration at their success but knew they couldn't let their guard down. The Drachnid fleet was regrouping, and if they didn't act quickly, they could find themselves overwhelmed. Meanwhile, back on Prometheus, Admiral Walker monitored every movement on his tactical display with keen focus. He could see how well his plan was working. The Drachnids were disoriented and struggling to respond effectively to humanity's assault. "All hands, maintain pressure on their flanks," Walker ordered decisively. "We cannot allow them to regroup." With each passing moment, humanity's resolve grew stronger as they fought back against their oppressors with everything they had. The Prometheus itself loomed large behind them, a symbol of human ingenuity and determination that would not be easily extinguished. As more fighters joined the fray, Zorak realized that he had underestimated humanity's capabilities once again. His fleet was now caught in a crossfire between Commander Martinez's small ships and an overwhelming number of human fighters emerging from Prometheus. "Fall back. Regroup," Zorak shouted desperately as panic began to spread among his ranks. But just as he thought things couldn't get worse, a new transmission came through from Earth Defense Command. Operation Thunderstrike was fully underway. "Prepare for Phase 2. Walker commanded with authority. "Let's unleash everything we have." The Prometheus began its own assault as rail guns along its hull powered up and fired massive projectiles toward the Drachnid fleet. Each round struck with devastating force, tearing through enemy shields and hulls alike. Explosions erupted across their formation as chaos reigned supreme. Emma watched in awe as her ship unleashed its fury upon their enemies, a display of power that left no doubt about humanity's capabilities. "Keep pushing forward. We've got them on the ropes." Emma encouraged her squadron as they pressed their advantage against the disorganized Drachnids. Back aboard Drachnus Prime, Zorak struggled to maintain control over his panicking crew. The tide of battle had turned against them. What began as an easy conquest had devolved into chaos and confusion. "Send out distress signals. Reinforcements are needed immediately," Zorak barked in desperation. But even as he issued orders, it became increasingly clear that humanity had turned his arrogance against him. What started as a simple hunt was now morphing into a brutal confrontation where every miscalculation could lead to disaster. As explosions continued to light up space around them and enemy ships fell under relentless assault from both Prometheus and its fighter squadrons, Zorak realized that today would not end in victory for his fleet, it would end in defeat at the hands of those he deemed inferior. Back on Prometheus, Admiral Walker felt a surge of pride for his crew as they fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. They were no longer hiding behind illusions, they were standing firm against an enemy who sought to conquer them without mercy or restraint. With each passing moment, humanity proved that they were not just survivors, they were warriors ready to defend their home at any cost. As battle raged on around them and victory seemed within reach, Walker knew one thing for certain: today marked a turning point, a moment when humanity would rise up against its oppressors and show them what true strength looked like.